I think my general impression of those students that are over 30 coming back is I think they're bold and brave.
I think it is really courageous of them coming back, even despite the stereotypes. I think they're breaking it.
I honestly don't see a problem with it.
As a student just sitting in the classroom, I start to wonder, I wonder what happened in their life. Did they not go to college before?
They have the tools and character necessary to be able to really do well.
I went to Seton Hall University for 3 semesters. I started college in 1969, then stopped and went through a whole entire life. I worked for the Postal Service for 37 years, from the time I was 20 until I retired at 57. At first, I was, as much as I wanted to do it, there was fear involved. You know, I didn't know what it was going to be like. I hadn't been in a classroom for 40 years. So I was nervous about it, and then I wanted to do well.
I spotted him right away because he was older than many students are, so I figured he was a returning student. He had a very good work ethic, and so he was always prepared in class. The students really don't know how to establish the knowledge base to even get going. They require lots of help and lots of time, but he did not.
When students are coming back to school, I certainly am giving them a lot of information. They may feel a little intimidated coming back, but I think they soon find out that they can hold their own. A lot of common reasons are the economy. Sometimes they're doing it to motivate their children.
Part of the reason I want to complete this is to set a precedent. No one in my family has ever graduated from college. No one. The truth is, I went to college in 1969 so I wouldn't get drafted and go to Vietnam. There was a thing called student deferment. So if you were in college, you wouldn't get drafted. Thank God I didn't get called because Canada was looking good.
There are sort of 2 camps usually for the returning students. Some have been gone so long that it's like a brand new start to get going again in the intellectual realm, writing papers, the kind of thing we do. But he had no such difficulties. Because there's a lot of people my age that have been displaced over the past 5, 6, 7 years. People now were in the workforce, were in the corporate world for 30 years and lost their pensions, or they can't retire. I cannot see you being able to do anything in the business world if you don't have at least a bachelor's degree.
During the recession, some of the students I have were laid off. They were fine without finishing a bachelor's degree in the company they were in. Their company has a policy that they will not be promoted without a bachelor's degree. It's very much a professional reason to come back.
I think the biggest challenge for people coming back now, considering an age difference, would be people maybe giving them a stereotype that, like, oh, they waited so long, they might not remember everything as well, or they should have just done it when they could have.
I saw a lot of them, I hate to say fail, but I saw a lot of them not be successful because the collegiate atmosphere is relatively rigorous and they weren't expecting that.
I think their biggest challenge would be, just from the ones I've talked to, is the lack of financial resources coming back.
Dealing with kids that are below them and trying to understand them, as well as for me too. It's, you know, I have to try to understand older people as well.
It's hard to make friends when you're 62 and everybody else is 20, 21. I can't tell you how many times people thought I was a professor when I walked into the classroom. People are very standoffish because they're like, you know, what's up with the old guy? Or they really want to get to know you.
He seemed relaxed, which told me that he would not therefore be a problem. He fit in so well and so easily.
In several of my classes, I would get a little bit more respect because of my age. I guess it made it better for me. You engender respect by how you carry yourself. And the only way to really get respect is to respect whoever it is that you're speaking to or whoever it is you're dealing with. So I was always, you know, that's the way I conduct myself, so I think it's a two-way street.
I haven't had anyone who's told me that they felt that the instructor treated them differently because they weren't 20 years old.
You start to look at the number that your age is and you kind of say, wow, I'm a lot closer to the grave than I am to the cradle. That's why it's good for me to be here, because I'm here every day and seriously, talking to younger people and being around younger people, it invigorates you. It keeps your mind active. It keeps you active, you know. It's good to know that young people look at me and say, hey, he's kind of cool for an old guy. As a minister, I think it's important that younger people can see that there doesn't have to be a gap between old and young. Not much has changed. Young people are interested in the same thing young people were interested in 1969.
It's really interesting because they have a lot of experience, and I'm kind of new, but I know what the technology is, but they have seen the technology put into practice.
They're going to need more information about the technology. They've kept up with technology in their own fields, perhaps, but not educational technology.
I learned how to use this phone. And now this has become an invaluable piece of who I am. If I had to choose between the two eras, I would definitely go now. Definitely. Because it's easy to write research papers. Much easier.
The resources are here to help them come back. That's one of the advantages of a large university. The disadvantage is that you look at it and you say, oh my gosh, this place is so big.
This is a journey.
Education is a learning process. It's throughout the life.
Don't hesitate. He who hesitates is lost. Just do it.
There's always that opportunity to come back.
I've definitely learned from younger people. It's been a great experience. So I don't think I would change anything. It's worth it because you become a better person. We only got one shot at this. This is a real good school. I love it here. I'm gonna miss it when I graduate. And no, honey, I'm not going to graduate school. My wife doesn't want me to go.